Welcome everyone. Today's video will be a crypto narratives tier list. So narratives are stories that people tell around a coin as to why it will pump, or like a particular section of coins as to why it might pump. And narratives are strong in crypto. For example, there was a big metaverse one in 2021 when Facebook changed their name from Facebook to Meta, and that pumped a bunch of metaverse coins. We've also had other narratives come and go, like Ethereum killers, Bitcoin killers over like the past bull markets. Now everything is extremely correlated, but some narratives will pump more than others and just do well. And just remember that this video is highly subjective. This is just my opinion. If you disagree, let me know in the comments down below. And if I rate a narrative highly, it doesn't mean that every token in that narrative will perform well. Conversely, if I'm not positive about a narrative, it doesn't mean it couldn't perform well as well. And I think generally, like I said before, everything is correlated. So all of these narratives will perform well if we have like a super mega bull cycle. And I think the most gains to be made are like buying all of the new coins within each of these narratives. And some things to consider when I'm rating these narratives are, does it have attention? Does it have lasting power? Like, will it be a narrative that will still be around in a couple of years' time? And are there any potential roadblocks? So the first narrative I wanted to cover is Bitcoin Ordinals, and it will go into the S tier. So this is an extremely new narrative, and Bitcoin Ordinals has only been around since like March of 2023. So these are just inscriptions that people can do onto individual Satoshis. Now we have a whole new BRC20 ecosystem, and like I said, it's a new narrative, and I'm extremely bullish new narratives, particularly ones that are interesting. And you know, Bitcoin is the largest coin. It is basically the market, right? It is the crypto market. Bitcoin, it started everything. It's got the largest share of the total market, and it's got the most mind share as well. And because it's the largest, there's a sort of a wealth effect that will occur. So as Bitcoin goes up, some of that money will flow into this narrative and into these Ordinals tokens. It's also something that Bitcoiners can get into, because a lot of Bitcoiners will only touch Bitcoin. They won't touch Ethereum, Solana, or anything else. And this gives them something to actually do. Additionally, this has historical significance. This Bitcoin Ordinal stuff is new, and I think it will have staying power. The next narrative I wanted to cover is alternate layer ones. Now this is a narrative that has been around for every bull cycle, because every bull cycle a new team will come along and say, due to advances in technology, in cryptography, we're able to do XYZ better than say like Ethereum. We can do it faster, we can do it cheaper, we can do it more secure. Most of the time this isn't even remotely true. Why I'm so like positive about this is that, you know, it's a narrative that's been around for a long time and will continue to be around. And there's always lots of potential if you are early to ride the wave up. And like I said before, with the wealth effect, this trickles down into the ecosystem. So like all the NFTs and tokens within those alternate layer ones will also perform quite well. Generally, I'm going to be more bullish layer ones that start off with small market caps, like Solana, for example. It started off sub 50 mil market cap and made it all the way to like 50 billion. And then the people who use Solana, who were early, they made a ton of money, and that allowed them to invest into the ecosystem more as well. Conversely, I am bearish any layer ones that launch with multi-billion-dollar market caps. We can take some examples here, like, so we can take Solana and how that performed, to Internet Computer and how that performed. Internet Computer launched with a ridiculously high fully diluted valuation, and it just went down only, and nobody got rich off the ecosystem. Nobody started building there. It was pointless, and I'm pretty sure the chain's dead and no one's ever going to use it again. So that's why alternate layer ones is in A tier and not S tier, because we very often have alternate layer ones that launch at too high a valuation and then just never get off the ground. The next narrative I wanted to cover is the Solana ecosystem. So this is a hot one. Solana is so hot right now. It's the chain that is second only to Ethereum and its layer 2s. It's way ahead of Avalanche, Polygon, Harmony. It's way ahead in terms of like usage, TVLs, NFTs, coins, anything that you could think. Recent airdrops have shown that bigger money is coming to Solana. So we saw a massive Jito airdrop, Pyth airdrop, There's a Jupiter airdrop that's probably going to be quite big, like over $1 billion as well. So whilst I still think that Solana is a retail playground, that's fine in the sense that it's still got the interest of degens and normies who are willing to come in and buy Solana. And also another thing to consider with Solana is that the FTX estate has been trying to liquidate a ton of Solana in the past year, and this thing has still massively rallied. So imagine what would have happened if all of those sales weren't going on for hundreds of millions of SOL that were being dumped into the market on top of everyone. Imagine how much higher Solana would be right now. The next narrative I wanted to cover is NFTs. So this doesn't mean NFTs in general, so like the picture tokens, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like the NFT marketplaces, the NFT DeFi tokens, that sort of thing. And this is symbolized with Blur. So I know Blur's out. I think there might be a couple of others. Oh, Looks Rare is dead. But I'm placing NFTs in the C tier. I mean, look, there will probably be a pump and people will refer back to this video and say, look, Infinite, you were wrong here. But it's just not something I'm super excited about. Like, you're better off just buying the underlying NFTs to NFT tokens, like truly. And I know that some of these tokens will provide yield from the marketplaces that they represent, but real yield is not something that I'm super bullish on, because you really can't predict any sort of revenue in crypto. For example, I think OpenSea was doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue like a year ago, or maybe a year and a half ago. It's now only doing a couple million. It dropped like 98%. So that's why I don't think you can use crypto data to do any sort of financial modeling. The next narrative I wanted to talk about is memes. So this is represented with Bonk, because I think this will probably be the premier meme coin for this cycle. So memes is always going to be a strong one. I mean, like ever since Dogecoin came out, the fact that Dogecoin is not zero right now means that memes are strong, because it is a pointless network, right? And people are willing to throw money into stuff that is funny, and it's even funnier that it goes up. And so this is a narrative that I think will stick around for a while, and there will always be new meme coins that people are willing to buy. The only reason why I'm not putting it any higher is that like a lot of these meme coins that we do talk about, like, we'll never see another pump. The next narrative is artificial intelligence, and I'm going to put that into the B tier. So this is a strong new narrative, particularly with ChatGPT, OpenAI, and basically every company out there wanting to build their own chatbot. And like ChatGPT has become like Google for 9-to-5 workers. And it is really helpful for productivity, and you know, that does make sense. And there's been lots of films coming out recently about artificial intelligence and that sort of thing, and it's a narrative that has strong mind share. And whilst I don't think it's a narrative particularly that actually even meshes well with blockchain, I can see no reason for why we need to do AI and blockchain stuff. It has been done before, and it just turned out to be basically a scam. I'm not saying any of the tokens now or any of the projects working on AI now in blockchain are scams or anything like that. It's just not something that I personally strongly believe in, and that's why I'm putting it in B, whilst other people might put it in like S or A. I mean, we might have an AI token crack the top 20, and I expect this to fully happen. But personally, I'm just not super invested. But it's a strong narrative that I think that other people believe in, and that's why I'm putting it in the B tier. The next narrative I wanted to talk about is gaming, and I'll be putting this into the B tier. And what we've got here is Illuvium as the representative for gaming. Now, gaming is much like AI. It's a strong new narrative, right? It has mindshare. 3 billion people on the planet play games. And if you can even get just a small fraction of that to start playing blockchain games, these things can massively pump. Now, I'm not putting it in A or S tier, because most of these games just have A, are just terrible, B, have bad tokenomics. A lot of the gaming tokens that you're going to get shilled are for games that look just absolutely awful. And basically, if they didn't have this sort of like gambling aspect to them, no one would play them, right? And so I'm bearish that. Additionally, all gaming tokens have bad tokenomics in the sense that they rely on new players continuously coming in, and very few games will have continuous growth over time. Counter-Strike, World of Warcraft, League of Legends, that sort of thing. Most games die after a year, and so that's why I'm not like super bullish on like the staying power for a lot of these tokens. Additionally, a lot of these tokens are highly inflationary, which just means they're destined to go to zero over time. The next narrative is real world assets, and I've got this with the Canto logo here because Canto has sort of pivoted into real world assets from being like a degen DeFi chain. So real world assets is just something that I don't think a lot of people really care about. Like the degens don't care about it. It's not super interesting. It doesn't promise like crazy gains or anything like that. I mean, there are tokens in the real world assets category that will do well. I mean, particularly the new ones, like MakerDAO, for example, is like a cursed coin, and I don't think it will ever pump. Like, never touch MakerDAO, although it is a big player in real world assets. I mean, real world assets will have its pump one day, but it's just not something that I'm super interested in. And then people will do predictions based on, like MakerDAO, for example. People have just been like estimating, oh, the revenue the MakerDAO has over time, and like, oh, we'll buy back and burn the MakerDAO token. But I'm not super interested in that. I mean, look at the MakerDAO token. Additionally, I think a lot of these projects will get either rugged by unfavorable legislation, or they'll be lending out unsecured loans to various different companies that will turn around and go bankrupt, and so they're never going to get anything back. We saw that happen during like the 2022 bear market. A couple of places had to shut down, so I mean, just keep that in mind, right? The next narrative is gambling. I'll be putting that into the B tier, and I've got the Rollbit logo here to represent that. Gambling is always going to be around, and crypto just makes it easier to do. I mean, just buying crypto tokens is like a form of gambling. It will always have a place in crypto. Now, it might not do super well in a bull market because instead of going to gambling websites, you could just buy tokens yourself and then make like crazy gains. Whereas in the bear market, casinos offer just something else to do whilst we wait for tokens to stop going down. The next narrative I wanted to talk about is just DeFi, and I'm putting this into the C tier. I think similarly about DeFi as I do to like NFT stuff. It's in the C tier. And the thing about DeFi is that some tokens will like, you know, super omega pump, but a lot of the larger, well-established ones like Aave, Compound, Maker, Wire, just not super excited about them. Yes, they deliver consistent revenues, but you can't put the revenue or profits into a financial model because crypto is so wildly unpredictable that those financial models would quickly become obsolete depending on whether or not we're entering a bull market or a bear market. And either of those conditions can massively impact the revenue and profit figures. Additionally, a lot of these DeFi tokens are purely governance, which means that they are controlled mostly by the team as they give themselves like the lion's share of tokens. And that means project treasuries cannot be accessed because teams want to hoard it all to themselves. Additionally, it means that dividends will never be paid because these teams are scared of being arrested for creating securities. The next narrative is layer 2s, and that's represented by Starknet here. So I'm putting it in C tier, and I would be more bullish, but these layer 2s consistently launch with extremely high market caps and don't allow users and projects to get rich with them. The airdrops are cool. I like getting, you know, a couple $1,000 airdrops, right? And that's nice. And that will incentivize some people to use those platforms, but you really need the market caps of these layer 2s and layer 1s to start off low and then go high. Additionally, like Arbitrum and Optimism, for example, those tokens are purely governance. And I've spoken about with the DeFi tokens, like why that isn't good. Because the team hold most of the tokens, they get to make most of the decisions, and they won't be giving you any money from the treasury, and they won't be paying out any like proper staking yields, right? I mean, they might just give you more of the same token that comes out of the treasury, but that's just, you have to then stake your token to avoid your share of the market capitalization from getting diluted. So I'm not super interested in layer 2 tokens for the most part. We need new layer 2s that start off with low market caps and actually provide utility and aren't purely governance. That being said, being early to layer 2 meme coins has always been profitable, so you still need to be paying attention to layer 2s. And the last two narratives for this video are privacy and Chinese coins, and I'll be putting them both into D tier. So privacy is in D tier because, like, if you're an ordinary person, you don't need to ever touch a privacy token. They don't really have utility outside of privacy. Additionally, if you are buying privacy tokens, expect to be banned from centralized exchanges in the future, and also expect a visit from the taxman. And with Chinese tokens, this is a little bit of a fad. Basically, every time it comes around to Chinese New Year, people start buying Chinese tokens. And it's more of like, I think, just a manufactured narrative from people on crypto Twitter who are like, oh, here's a new narrative. Here are what Chinese people are trading. And it's not a long-lasting one. So that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Just to recap, we have Bitcoin Ordinals in S tier. In A tier, we have alternative layer 1s and Solana Ecosystem. In B tier, we have memes, AI, gaming, and gambling. In C tier, we have NFTs, real-world assets, DeFi, and layer 2s. And in D tier, we have privacy and Chinese coins.